sure.
Thank you for having me. The very first poem that I'm going to read to you, it was inspired by me being laid off in 2009. I was working for a music group, and they were outsourcing. And this is what came out of that situation. It's called Reminisce. It's 8:30 p.m. as I become aware of the cold temperature of the station bench through my clothing. The train's headlights appear on the track like a distant sun, blinking so far off there is no warmth from its rays. The feeling brings me back to our afternoon meeting, announcing that a reorganization is about to disorganize my life and reveal any accumulated dust in its corners. It's funny how one sentence can tighten your temples, add pepper and vinegar to your fresh cup of coffee, and suck all the air from the room at the same time. These moments come out of the mist, bringing a chilly, foul odor with a perfume label on it. An appointment with insomnia was placed before me with a dash of 6 smiles. Back at my desk, my attention crept over to the outside. I recalled that insomnia had visited me with increased frequency over the past 2 years. So let's see. Demand, aching hand, and insomnia versus insomnia and a fresh start. The cup before me was suddenly half full. And it's not too sweet, but it does have some cream. Thank you very much. During that time, when they did lay us off, they sent me to India to teach the new people. And what I found in my travels to India is that although I did see a lot of poverty and there was some corruption that needed to heal, there was this great sense of spirituality that was going right hand in hand. You could really feel the spirituality. So this poem came from that, and it's called Forward, and it's treating forward like an entity that's up walking the room. Forward can show up with a hat on backwards in disguise. Forward can spring from a small, still place that we first don't recognize. Forward, love folks, can call on calm through an attack. Cause and effect show perfect order. Our gravity withdraws what we attract. Rush can be a revolving door that lands us where we started. Demand can lead us to a room that satisfaction has just departed. Anxious may not move forward as it darts and jumps about. Fly can lose sight of forward, weaving webs and won't move out. Jealous can be found stuck in a ditch along the road, along with grudge, who's much too weighted down to move its heavy load. Those who try to bully forward often lose balance. Seduction might not move forward and try to take the place of talent. Honest holds a very bright light that shines right to the wisdom station. Humility points the way while moving hand in hand with patience. Tolerance holds a master plan that leads away from the ego's mud. Understanding with compassion brings us forward without struggle. Thank you. This next poem was just a really funny observation of me. And I won't tell you more. It's called Made In. The sun is kicking a can through a nearby window on a crisp morning. I am keeping a hot cup of tea company when my gaze falls upon the proud Made in England proclamation printed on the slumbering tea sleeve lying very lazy on the table. Imagine if each one of us was involved with a Made in notification that not only announced our country, but the exact location of our creation, etched delicately by the Almighty in our language. So just imagine, Made in 57 Chevy San Monica Pier, almost the top of someone's back. Or made in Honolulu, Hawaii, on honeymoon, printed on them. So just imagine this too. In the future, some adults will even have made in a California laboratory petri dish. Just a thought. You guys have all heard about how our bees are dying and they're trying to figure out why the bees are dying. So this is my little encounter with watching it. It's called Passing Bee. I'm relaxed, enjoying my patio and cushion swing when a bumblebee suddenly falls from flight to the ground in front of me. It is on its back, beating its small wings against the pavement and jerking as if it's in a coffin pit. Could there be a bee harness maneuver that would aid it? Is there a bee hospital that I could possibly rush it to? It kicks in a circle and then slows to a motionless course before me. I look up, quickly searching for a possible failure, and see only a flowering tree and tall green bush moving peacefully, calmly in the breeze. They both gaze down at me with an air of complete innocence. Sadly, there is no bee detectives on their way to investigate what has happened. No possible interrogation of whether this is natural causes or foul play. Just an open and shut case of how the bee passing became a passing bee. The next one, it came out of my mother had passed away, and me and my four sisters a very big legal battle over her property. And instead of writing something about how sad it was and how traumatic it was, I was the administrator of her estate, so it was really horrible for me. I changed the story. The 5 girls are represented here by 3 brothers, and people are now frogs. It's called Youth and Lily Pad. 3 froggy brothers are crowded on a log. They hope for a better place to live within the ball. As they floated, croak, croak, cried the little 3. Suddenly they saw a big lily pad floating near a shady tree. They jumped on, they pushed, they shoved, they rocked from side to side. Each wanted it to themselves and would not be denied. The lily pad sunk. The little froggies jumped back to a log, and it slid into a stream. They held on, but they let out these long and croaky squeaks. The froggies clung to the log, but then they held tighter to each other. For what they wanted most of all now was not to lose their brothers. They reached calm waters and could not believe their own eyes. They saw a large patch of lily pad and a big, fat, black fly. Each froggy brother now had his own lily home, with brothers right nearby and a pad to call his own. So, I don't know if you guys know. Do you have a question here?
No, I'm just the way you clap not to break the energy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Cool. I like that. Oh, good. I'll remember that one.
I am a bee.
I don't know if you guys know a poet named Peggy Domier.
Dobrier, yeah.
Okay, I'm saying the name wrong. She wanted us to write something that had to do with our marrow of our bones. And she asked us what would be there if you had to write about the marrow of your bones. So this is called My Bone Marrow Hell. The little song, My Bone Marrow. Hear the echo of all the New Jersey towns from my childhood that I call home. My love for Dominic is ringing still at the center of the very center of my bones. There are grand moments and false starts, huddled shoulder to shoulder like sheep. Unfed dreams, tightly swaddled and humming still fast asleep. My little girl giggles and hiccups, my teenage tantrums and cries, all of the love that I sent out and took in through my eyes. The deep-toned inspirational words from all the apostles, and a few memories as welcome as morning breath to a nostril. Life impact shines clearly as clear air, and each new day has new notes. It is not what it is. Okay, this next month, all of mine are kind of short, which is good, right?
Yes, indeed.
This next one is going to be the title of my next book that I'm working on, rewriting. It's called Ripping Daylight. A sleepy intuition, an inner child gone wild. The wake-up call to myself was on a phone with no dial. I made a sharp turn left with signs blaring boldly, turn right. Grinning calf on the ledge, tightly gripping daylight. Can I push down feelings until it can't be felt? I stumbled last night in the dark and I bumped into myself. Red squinted eyes in the morning mirror, hot glare on the truth was too bright. I hold thorns in my hand like I am gripping daylight. I'm going to move to my book. This book came out several years ago. And people have always asked me, why do you have a mouth that has no filth? In Native American culture, they have the talking stick. And what it is that you don't want people to talk over one another. So you can only talk